That's a badass pressure washer. So, doing some roof work on my house, my dad's house, the house I grew up in. Got tired of waiting for these slack ass, bum ass, alcoholic roofing contractors to stop smoking their cigarettes and get to work. So, plus they misrepresented themselves in their licensing ability. For those who don't know, if you're hiring a roofer and you have truss work that you need to do below the plywood, make sure they also have a general contractor's license, because they could just have a simple roofing license, which only gives them the ability to remove the plywood and do everything above the plywood. They can't go below the plywood with a roofing license. So if you have... Gonna rip out these beams, put new ones in. And then they'll be ready to do the decking. They won't have no excuse. But by then I'll probably fire them, and because they're overpriced and they lied. So you don't want people working for you that are going to tell lies. And you know, the verbal estimates, they'll say anything. And then once you're in a contract, that's tar, by the way, not fire. So yeah, I'm gonna rip out all these beams here. Once I get you in a contract, then you're stuck. Your money, you know? You have to give them money. And then your money's stuck. So I already replaced the plater there, 2x4. I'm going to rip out these ceiling drywall trusses. And then I'm going to rip out that plater there. And change the beams up there, one at a time, with the old decking in place. Because my roofers are not my roofers. They're, by the way, the people I hired, I got suspicious after waiting 6 months for stuff to happen over here. Found out in the county record that they're being sued by like 5 other of their clients this year alone. That's a lot of people to get sued by. All right. Home improvements, you know. I already repaired these window tie beams. Did that last year actually. And with stucco walls in here, it's gonna be good to go for another 50 years probably. Over and out. Yeah. Getting ready to take this old wood out. It's about 100 years old. I'm gonna put some fresh pieces in. That's going to be the plater. That arrow marks the east side. Goes up here. That's bonded. Going to pour some fresh concrete. Bolts are going to countersink through those holes you saw in the 2x4 into the concrete, anchoring to the block. Goes in there. 2x4 bricks behind it. Red cinder brick. And yeah, I'm gonna put the bird mouth right there, across the top there. I'm going to pour the concrete. While the concrete's wet,
I'll be sticking these pre-treated zinc steel galvanized bolts. I'll be hammering them straight through these holes. They're countersunk, so the head will sink down in the wood. It'll stick out that far into the concrete. And when the concrete dries, the plater will be, like a hurricane strap, only better. Our mouth is in. See, when the structure's done, then these brave, courageous deck roofers who don't have the license to work below the plywood will come out here and do what they can do with their license, even though they'll misrepresent themselves to get the job. 99% of roofers cannot do structural work. They have a roofing license, and with a roofing license they can do the decking and above the decking, which is plywood. The decking is plywood. Those are called trusses and beams. Your average roofer cannot do that with their license. But I'll say it one more time. They will misrepresent themselves to get the job and get you in a contract and get you stuck with them. They will call you and say, hey, we can't do this job later, but we have over $10,000 of yours in a deposit, and we're not giving it back. If you cancel, you don't get it back. If you don't cancel the contract and they don't do what they're supposed to do according to the contract, then you sue them for lack of performance. So they got about 100 sheets of plywood to put up there, and I'm just getting the structure done for them because they lied. Later, I found this out the hard way, and I went ahead and made sure that the next roofers I spoke with also had a general contractor's license. And they also lied and said they have a license to do it. But they don't. Again, 99% of roofers do not have a general contractor's license. They have a roofing license, so they can do everything above the plywood. So anyway, I took out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know, about 6 ceiling joists. Gonna put them back in probably tomorrow or the next day. I have to pour concrete in there and set the plater down and let that cure. It's right there. Probably gonna do it in the morning, and by the end of the day it'll be cured. I probably won't be able to put these joists in till the following day when the concrete's completely dry, because you don't want to push down on wet concrete. I need it to sit at a certain level. And then once that's in, and I get these 6 ceiling joists back in, then I will rip out that remainder piece going that way. I already took the one out there. And I will put it back in, a new piece, on both sides after the ceiling trusses are in. And once that's done, then I'll start ripping out the roof trusses. Those guys, one at a time. And then I'll replicate the notch that's on there and cut the nails out, pull it out, and put a new one in. And then when that's all done, I'll move forward that way. And hopefully I'll get this done in a few weeks. And the roofers can do the plywood above it and all the roofing, which is a big job for one man. But one guy can do this one day at a time. Over and out. I like to burn the wood, the old wood. sometimes there's some good pieces. So strong too, you know. This 100-year-old wood. It's 100 years old. But if the water sits on it, the moisture, termites can get to it. So instead of going through the trouble of hauling it to the dump, I just burn it. Been doing this for 30 years. Yeah. Just put the new plater in there. Got those bolts hammered in the concrete. Every 2 feet or whatever. Holding it down there. Concrete's still wet. So your ceiling joists will rest on this. They run across. To the other side. Another plater. Well, when this is dry, when it's dry, I'll open it up and take the bird mouth down and clean it up. And stucco the wall. I'm gonna demo this wall. Get all the drywall out of here. I'm gonna stucco all these walls. Bond it and stucco over and out. Gonna hit this wall with some Bond-It. And stucco, because I need to put a piece of 2 by 6 by 16 across those 2 platers of 2 by 4s. And I kind of want to attach it to the wall, because then the rest of the 2 by 6s going across for the ceiling are going to have cross members. And, you know, it just helps strengthen the wall for hurricane winds. Oh yeah, so what? Water. Forgot. First step to stuccoing is get your garden hose and you wash the dust off the wall. You know, very briefly. You know. You know, some water will fall, it won't be nothing to worry about. Just be brief about it. Get the fine dust off the wall. Plus you want the wall to start soaking water. Because alright, that's enough. That's enough water. You know, some water falling here. Ain't gonna kill nothing. Just throw a sheet over it. Soak it up. Now that the wall has got all the fine dust rinsed off of it, you let that dry a little bit. And you set up your roller. You put some of that on there, nice and thick. And let that dry for 2 hours. And then it's ready for a layer of stucco. Over now. Damn finger. Yeah. There's your Blue Bondit. You can see some spots are soaking it in. You go back with a sponge and hit those spots before you stucco it. I'm just getting that half there because I want to put a ceiling joist across there, and I want to bolt it to the wall there because later the cross members are going to go in and strengthen that wall using the ceiling as a support. So that's the Blue Bondit step. That needs 2 hours to dry. You can stucco up to 24 hours later without having to put a second coat. You also mix a cup or so of this with your mix. I'm going to come back in an hour and touch this up and stucco it in the morning. Over and out. So I put 2 layers on there. Still lagging. Well, I doubled up the center to the ceiling fan and to add support to the roof later with a vertical, I guess, 4x4. Ceiling is level, notched out, shimmed. Making a video update. Cross members in. Nice and strong. Brand new wood. Getting a nice little video record. I'm gonna put one more beam in tomorrow. Then I'm gonna take out these short posts and put the plater across the top there to support the roof, and then I'll be working on the roof. And here goes a piece of 2x6 across these beams. Holds up this. Once that's in, I'll be taking one of these out at a time and replacing them. Cutting the nails out. Once the short posts come down, it'll settle back onto the it'll settle onto the wood. It's just lifted up right now so I can work. Over and out. Sue. Come here, there. Very nice. Very nice. So yeah, I stuccoed the wall already, smoothed it out, primered it. That's all it needs. Putting some beams in, ceiling joists, 16 inches apart. Made cross members for support. And I'll get the rest done tomorrow during the day. Had a late day today, a lot of rain. Some cloudy weather. Just making a video update over and out. So that's the first smoothing out. And let it dry for another, I guess, another hour. Then I'm gonna come back at it with a sponge and smooth it out some more. Then I'm gonna paint it with primer. And it is, help weatherproof that wall a little better. Keep the bugs out. Keep the water out. Keep the hot air from the outside out. Help improve, the breathing of the attic. It'll focus the air out there more instead of through the cracks of the wall. I'm gonna do all the walls like this before I drywall it. Mainly for insect control, weather control, sound control, and building ease. When you need to put new fur strips on there and screw them to the wall, it makes the wall tighter. Also prepares the wall for storms better. And yeah, over and out.